welcome to the Brewed Palate video beer reviews. For these 5 beers that I got from Artisanal Imports, one of the sponsors of my blog, since they're all from the same brewery, I figured that instead of posting one at a time, I get them all up at once by doing video beer reviews for each one and then posting them all in 1 week. So the first beer that we're going to be reviewing is their Saison, which recently, about a year or so ago, they started canning in these 11.2 ounce cans. So as you know, a lot of Belgian breweries put their beers in 11.2 ounce bottles instead of the typical American 12 ouncers. Like this is an 11.2 ounce bottle of their Grand Cru, which I'll be getting to later on. But they took their Saison, one of their year-round beers, and put it in a can, and from what I've gathered, they put extra hops in here to try to dry it out a little bit instead of bottle conditioning, which would do the same thing. And the aroma, classic Saison. It's a little drier actually than the first time I tried this in the can. When I first tried it in the can, it was a little too sweet, but now it has a very bright lemon flavor, lemon aroma, with a little bit of sweetness, a little bit of phenolic, clovey spiciness. Not as earthy as other Saisons, but it definitely has that key characteristic of lemon and a little bit of that perfumey, dry spiciness. So. Now moving on to the taste of the Saison. I took a few sips to compose my thoughts so I wouldn't ramble on about it and make this video too long. In the aroma, this beer kind of tricks you because of the extra hops. You get a nice sweet malt up front, and then it dries out with that nice lemon sweetness. It's not, you know, lemon spice up front. It's a lot of sweet malt up front, and then the rest of the typical Saison characters without some of that barnyard earthiness that you would get in some other Saisons. Okay, so for my final thoughts on the St-Feuillien'Saison, I'll give you my rating. But I think the main issue that I find with this beer, and I'm finding it again the more I sip on it, is the sweetness. And I think that sweetness comes from the fact that they add more hops. Because as you know, in hoppy American beers, once the hop character fades, the beer tastes sweeter and sweeter as the time goes on. So I don't know exactly how they date their bottles. There's a code on the bottom of the can. But I think that even if with the extra hops in it, you really have to drink this beer fresh, because it does have some classic Saison notes. It has the lemon and the aroma and the taste. It has some spiciness. It has some dryness in the finish. It doesn't have any really that Saison earthy funk that some classic Belgian Saisons have. But I think the extra hops that they put in, which is definitely a great touch in my opinion, just to make their stamp on the style. Once those fade, the beer gets sweeter. So I can't really knock it for that. But for me, who prefers drier, less sweet Belgian beers in general, the faded hop taste really detracts from my enjoyment of the beer. So basically, to me, it tastes like a faded, like Belgian Pale Ale or hoppy Belgian IPA up front, and then a little bit Saison in the finish. So if that's something you like, if you like your Belgian beers, especially like Belgian Pale Ales or triples on the sweeter side, then this is definitely something for you. And I also recommend it for someone who's just getting into the style, so they don't get that, upfront earthy, funk, tart taste in their first Saison, but they get a sweeter, more welcoming, more approachable Saison. So that's why I'm going to give this beer a 7 out of 10, because I know that if it was really, really fresh, it'd be a little more inviting and a little more approachable for someone like me who's tried many, many Saisons. So if you haven't tried the St-Feuillien'Saison, I still recommend it. A 7 out of 10 is still a beer I could recommend. And I just want to, remind you that I'm going to be doing video reviews of these other 4 St-Feuillien beers, the Triple, the Brune, the Special, and the Grand Cru. So I look forward to seeing you in another The Brewed Palate video beer review. And cheers and happy holidays.